what to do about. Bruce Wylde is here. He's going to help us out. Headaches or migraines, which are, you know, even worse, you don't really know what to do. You've got the over-the-counter drugs. Sometimes they're effective, sometimes they're not. But we're going to talk about natural remedies.
Yeah, well, that's where a lot of people reach, you know, over the counter at the drugstore. And there's actually some good tips I've got to know which ones to reach for.
Okay.
So, you know, we'll talk about that momentarily as well. But you're right. And the incidence of headaches, by the way, folks, is alarming. About, you know,
Really?
3 million Canadians on average have one type of headache or another every day. You know?
Every single day.
It's a big, it's a disaster. So underlying issues.
So it's not just an excuse at night, ladies and gentlemen.
No,
there really is a headache happening.
We've got some cures for that as well. In fact, why don't we start
a whole other segment.
Right out of the gate? That often will clear up a tension headache. So let's start with tension headaches.
So it's a solution.
It is a solution. But so a lot of folks with tension headaches actually think they have migraines. They don't. Tension headaches occur in about 88% of the population that experience headaches.
Okay.
And, you know, it's just for visual purposes here. Tension headaches, if we look at, you know, a head, this is where a tension headache occurs.
Okay.
And it's due to the tightness of the muscles that occur in a band-like structure around the head. And because of that, it blocks circulation, and those muscles tightening actually cause the pain. It's not a migraine. A migraine is very different. And here's how a migraine presents. Often with an aura, folks know if they have a migraine, they get, you know, vision disturbances, they might feel nauseous, even vomit in a big way. And so this is where a migraine occurs. Usually on one half of the head, and sometimes it causes numbness and tingling.
And blurry out vision.
You can't stand light, blurry vision. Even the crackling sound of a paper is enough to make you go deaf. You gotta hide out, you know, get yourself into a cave until it passes for the most part.
Right.
Now there are triptans, that's a type of drug your doctor might recommend for you, but I've got some other solutions. Okay. Drug-free. Now there's another type. Now that's the less common than a tension, but the least common, probably most devastating type is a cluster headache.
I've never heard of a cluster headache.
And a cluster headache, and this is to differentiate it between a migraine, occurs typically around one eye, and a cluster headache sufferer will describe this as a hot poker, or sometimes a cold poker going right through the eye.
Ouch.
It's debilitating. Sometimes the eye droops, loses function and form. You get, you know, dripping out of the nose and out of the eye. It's debilitating. So we've got solutions for all these three types. That's the least common.
Do you know what causes that?
Well, scientists are starting to figure out that that's actually nerve impulses in the brain that are misinterpreted as pain and debilitating, but it's actually not pain. It's not physical pain. Migraines, you know, the biochemistry of migraines are very, very complex as well, but it's typically a vasospasming that causes blood that's already in the head and inability to get out, and it puts pressure. The brain can't feel anything.
Right.
But if there's pressure, it pushes pressure against this little thin layer of skin around the brain called the meninges. That pressure against the skull, because it can't go anywhere, that pressure causes a migraine. Now, tension headaches, as we described this sort of band around the head, that's typically lack of sleep. That's stress. You know, it's day-to-day, you know, too much work, too little rest.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's more it's more based on social circumstance.
Yeah, it's not in your head. Well, it is, right? It's not in your head. But it's stress, you know, and stress is a very subjective thing.
For sure.
You know, whatever stresses you. And back to your point, coming full circle, you know, maybe it's time to get a little hanky-panky going on, because that is what cures a tension headache, you know, for the most part.
Well, there you go. I think that's good news for a lot of couples out there.
Right?
Just do it. It's good for your health.
Right.
Okay, so what do we have over here in terms of natural remedies?
One of the #1 causes or triggers, let's say, because there's no one thing for a tension headache or a migraine or a cluster, but migraines and clusters do typically have food sensitivities that backbone them. Okay. So what you're looking at here is a spread of both what is called tyramine-rich and histamine-rich foods. Tyramine and histamine typically cause or trigger a migraine, in some cases a cluster. So
you have to stay away from these.
You gotta stay away from these. So lentils, you know, dark chocolate, kombucha. I mean, this is a popular thing.
Really?
You know, the common, you know, denominator here is that a lot of these are fermented foods. Red wine, you know, whether it's soy sauce or you know, tamari. You know, that's the commonality. Now, if it's histamine, then you want to get tested for that. You can get a test called DAO. And if it's food intolerance to the tyramine, you can get that tested as well. In fact, myhealthreport.ca, you can go online, they'll send a nurse or a phlebotomist to your home or workplace to get your blood tested and determine if you have these food sensitivities.
Oh, that's interesting.
But kick them out otherwise.
Okay.
Now, you're looking at hot chili pepper here. That is not common with these other foods. In a pharmacy, you might be able to find a cream or a spray. If you're a cluster headache sufferer, we described around one eye, like a poker through that eye. There's a cream you can put up your nose or a spray that might kick out that migraine instantly.
That sounds pleasant.
It's not pleasant, but it's way more pleasant.
But it's way better than
more pleasant.
feeling
A cluster headache sufferer will do and take anything.
Really?
Little drop of this on your finger.
Sure.
Little drop on your finger. This is peppermint oil. Put that around your temple. Just rub that around your temple. The smell of that and even the coolness that peppermint oil creates around the temples will actually get rid almost instantly of a tension headache.
Totally ruined my makeup, Bryce.
But you'll appreciate it. You'll thank me later in case you are suffering from a headache.
It smells great.
Okay.
So that can help just a regular headache, like the tension headache?
Just a regular band around the head headache.
Got
so
it.
the peppermint oil. Now, if you have a headache and you're reaching for an over-the-counter, a drug solution, do not choose acetaminophen. Go for a salicylic acid or ibuprofen. Okay, that's really important. It's really liver toxic. Some other solutions: valerian for migraines, butterbur for migraines. Those are really nice, herbal solutions. And if you've got a migraine, it might be a magnesium or a B6 deficiency. So I'd highly recommend that you try that, and even something called 5-HTP. I mean, all this will be up on the website.
Yeah.
Sometimes a serotonin deficiency. Okay. But here's a really simple at-home solution. All right, I just took off my loafers here. If you're about to suffer from a migraine headache, and you can get yourself into a bath that you've filled up just about 2 or 3 inches of freezing cold water. If your tap allows that. We've got ice here. That's even better if you can get your significant other to dump some ice in there.
Yeah.
And here's what you're going to do. You're literally going to get into that ice water. This is a new ice bucket challenge.
Oh, gosh.
And you're going to march up and down,
for
about 2 to 3 minutes. It is freezing.
Feels good, eh, Bryce?
And here's what happens. All my blood from my feet go right to my head, which you think is counterintuitive. You don't actually want it there, but this is what you do. Once you get out after 2 minutes of stomping, you lie flat, and all the blood from your head is going to rush back down to your feet, get out of your head, relieve that pressure. It is a miraculous solution. Okay?
That's amazing. Show us again.
And another quick tip as we go out here. This is called this pressure point, acupressure point. If you can zoom right in on my foot here. My feet are gnarly, by the way. I do a lot of running and soccer, so forgive me.
You're off the hook. It's okay.
So this is called Chai Chong. Okay.
Chai
This is LV4. Let's go with LV4. Okay. That's an LV3. LV4 is an acupressure point. You push on that really hard for about 2 or 3 minutes. That can relieve a tension headache. All right.
That is a really good solution. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Really good.
Some simple at-home stuff.
Show us again. Just joking.